Public speaking can be scary. Trust me, I've been there. But what if I tell you that you can do public speaking even while afraid? What if your fear can actually make you a better, more relatable speaker? Hi guys, welcome back to RTs Share Tea, where respiratory therapists live out loud. With me, your host, Linda Fry, the Asthma Lady. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to anyone new and Happy New Year. Yes, I haven't seen you guys since 2024. 2025 is here and we're ready to do new things, okay? So today's topic, we are talking about how to be a public speaker even while afraid in 2025. All right, and trust me, I'm your girl to talk about this topic because I am public speaking. I'm not afraid anymore. Okay, so let's talk about fear. Fear is very normal. It's common. You have to understand that it is your brain's job to protect you. And back in the day, we needed those flight or fight signals to come very quickly, right? Because I don't know, we were running away from lions and tigers and all that stuff back in the day, hunter and gatherers, once upon a time, right? So we needed those like instincts. So your brain is meant to protect you when it feels like something is off. So when you are going through periods of anxiety or you're excited, any of these type of emotions, your heart rate starts to go up. And your brain, it kind of lets your brain know that something is off. You know what I'm saying? So your brain is trying to protect you, and it will start to give you pictures of fear, and it will give you those signals like, oh, we don't like this. We don't like this over here. So fear is necessary to a certain degree. Like if you're falling off, if you're at the edge of a cliff and your body is telling you like, okay, we're in trouble. Very normal. According to the American Psychiatric Association, public speaking anxiety, PSA, also known as AKA fear of public speaking and also called glossophobia, is very common. Actually, 75% of people actually have a fear of public speaking. And the reason why we have this type of phobia, most people have this type of phobia, is because most of the time when you're public speaking, you're standing alone and everyone is looking at you. And this is a very physical thing to experience. Just like I mentioned before, how back in the day, our bodies and our brain protect us in a way where we were supposed to be together, because being together was what made us safe against, predators like lions and tigers and bears and all this good stuff that used to be around. So even physically, we're not used to being alone and being looked at. Also, they're saying why there is a lot of phobia when it comes to public speaking is because we have the want to be perfect. Most of us, we want to, when we present ourselves and put ourselves out there, we just want to do it in the most perfect way possible. And this stops a lot of people from actually doing it. And they also mention things like imposter syndrome that creeps in, especially knowing when you have to teach or speak in front of folks that are more senior than you or that have more accolades, higher titles. So these things start to creep in. So once upon a time in 2014, I got my dream job, of running an asthma program. So asthma education is my passion. So I was very happy to get this position after I received my master's in public health. And what I didn't realize was the job came with some public speaking. And I was like, oh, I wasn't excited about that part. So the first time I had to public speak for the job, I had to introduce this well-established nurse. Her accolades were amazing. And we were hosting like a seminar at the hospital, and I had to read her bio. And so what happened was I got the printout of her bio, and I saw the word Chattanooga. I was like, I don't know where this is, but it was like one of the first words to describe where she was from, right? And I believe it was Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I knew the minute I had to say this word, this place, I was going to hear my own accent and possibly hear the whistle that I hear because I have a gap in my mouth, and sometimes I can hear a whistle when I say certain words. So it automatically made me nervous because I visioned this in advance before even doing the speaking. So when it came time to me to actually introduce her, the minute I had to say her name and where she was from, I got so nervous that I started shaking, and then I put the paper directly in front of my face, and I was shaking, like ridiculously shaking. And I got through it. I introduced her. And let's just say I was very, very embarrassed. I was so embarrassed and mortified. After she finished doing her lecture, she did an amazing job. I went to go see her after, and I apologized. I felt bad. And I could tell she also felt bad. Like she felt sorry for me a little bit, because she saw how, like, whatever. It was just a bad experience. And what a lot of people don't know is after that, I went home and I cried. I cried, and I felt like I did a bad job. I felt like I let everyone down. All the negative talk started kicking in. I was calling myself stupid. I was like, well, who gave you permission to take this job where you had to public speak? Who told you you could do that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you ask somebody else to do it for you? And I felt like crap. But at the same time, I also spoke up to myself. And I told myself, like, stop bullying me. So I had to stand up to myself. And I was like, you know what, Linda, this is ridiculous. It was like, you have this job that you've basically always wanted. And here you are, you're going to let a fear of public speaking stop you? Like, come on. Now, you didn't die, okay? You got through it, and now we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it even while afraid, and we're gonna keep doing it so you can get better. Okay, so here are some actionable tips you can take to start speaking even while afraid. Tip number 1, think of a time when you spoke up. Like, really spoke up to tell a story. Like, talking to your friends about something exciting that happened to you. Like, oh girl, do you know what happened to me today? And your friends are looking at you. They giving you the floor to tell them what happened, because they want to hear what genuinely happened to you. So use that as a mental description to give to yourself how to public speak in that frame of mind. You want to think of the audience as your friend, that you are telling a story to. All right. And that you want them to gain something from the story. So for example, for me, I speak on asthma education and asthma self-management. So my enemy is asthma disparities and uncontrollable asthma. So if that is someone's enemy too, that person is my friend. We people. So you have to think of the audience as your friend who want to see you, who want to hear about you speak about this topic. Tip number 2, prepare as being yourself. And what that means is, what you want to do is practice your speech, your presentation as you. You do not want to look for, you're not trying to be perfect. Okay, no one is perfect. The more that you achieve, the more you try to be perfect, the more nervous you make yourself. So don't aim for that. Once again, just be you and focus on your key messages. Like, what do you want the audience to get out of what you're talking about? When I first wanted to do public speaking, I wanted to speak to a point where I had no ums while talking. And I was like, Linda, we got to get rid of these ums. Okay. And this was so hard for me. And actually it made me just feel more frustrated, more nervous. And I was just like, you know what? We're just going to talk as if I'm talking to a regular person, ums and all. Tip number 3, do low risk public speaking. Start small with a small audience. So think of things like team meetings, staff meetings. I started by saying grace in front of my family. Like when we want to bless over the food, who gonna bless over the food? I always be like, not me. That's how nervous I would be. Right? So I started volunteering to do that. Oh yeah, I could do a quick prayer over the food. And so this is, in my mind, I envision myself as a public speaker. Not that I'm just public speaking, that I'm entertaining people as well. And this is very helpful to me because I like to have a good time, and I want people when they're around me to also have a good time. So even no matter the topic, I want you to enjoy it and be entertained by it and engaged by it. So this helped me a lot as far as practicing. And even things like this, doing a podcast, like just speaking out loud to you guys, the listeners. So these things are, to me anyway, low risk public speaking activities. Tip number 4, start speaking on things that excite you. Okay, so things that you are excited about, you're passionate about, knowledgeable about. So if all these things are put together, you are going to do well, because people can feel that. They will feel that, and they will have a genuine connection with you. They will start to trust you. They can feel that energy, and it will make you a more engaging speaker. So just like I said, I started at baby showers, being the host of games. And so that type of energy I bring towards topics I like to speak on. So I mean, in the broad, I would love to speak about anything in regards to public speaking, but I want to feel connected and passionate about what I'm speaking. So I think this is always like the best place to start. Tip number 5, have your action time signal. Okay, what is the action time signal? So it is that thing that lets you know that it's showtime. It's action, So, you have folks that do the power pose that gives them shows like, that the Wonder Woman power pose that shows you, that gives you that confidence, and, walking up the stairs or walking up the podium, to give you that boost of confidence. For me, I'll let you know, is I have a power clap. So whenever I'm, after they read my bio, usually my nerves are high when folks are reading my bio, because it's like, oh yeah, that's me. And then what I do is I put my hands together and I do like a clap. And this lets me know, all right, it's showtime. Linda, we've done this before. It's showtime. So it's something that reminds me that we're going to be okay. We ready. We've done this before. We are prepared, and we are excited to be here. Okay, so something, give yourself something. Maybe it's a little snap, maybe a snap of your fingers. Maybe it's I don't know, give yourself an imaginary high five, but you want it to be something that you can actually do, that lets you know, oh, it's showtime. And when I say showtime, I'm not saying like be another person. You are still being your authentic self, but it's just letting you know, like, listen, we on. So what can authentic public speaking do for you? Let me tell you something. When you public speak as yourself, and even showcase that you are a little afraid, maybe not showcase is not the word, but just showing your vulnerability. It does give you a connection with people, because like we said, oftentimes a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. So it's something that they can relate to. And so when they see other people do public speaking, they secretly like admire the person. It's like, wow, this person is able to do this. So even if you're doing it while you're afraid and people can see it, oftentimes you will be okay. People will, as long as you know what you're talking about and you are sharing it with your heart, people will want to see you win. It is well received. All right. So I'll give you an example. The first time I got really asked to do public speaking, like that was in 2018. I was asked to talk on developing asthma, an asthma program. And I was scared. I didn't want to do it. So to kind of like try to like steer the person off, I asked them for, what's the budget? Okay. You want me to speak? That's cool. So what's the budget for your speakers? So thinking that if I asked for compensation, there would be like, oh no, and then I can kind of like wiggle my way around it. But then the person actually said, oh yeah, we pay our speakers and we will pay you. And I was like, oh crap. I was like, oh, they're really actually, willing to pay. And I was just like, you know what, Linda, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. So I did it. I started to prepare myself. So I knew the topic very well. I know my stuff. I'm confident in what I have to deliver, right? And so, but it's the public speaking part that just has me so scared. So while I was speaking during that event, I had a laser pointer, and during the beginning of the presentation, I was so nervous. The laser pointer, I started shaking, and the laser pointer got off the screen and ended up in someone's face. And I was like, and I had no idea that I was like off my presentation screen. But then at that time, I was trying to describe my why, like why I started to do public health and doing this type of work around asthma and asthma education. And after I shared my story, which I often share on this podcast, people started clapping. And I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't share that story for the clap. But I got they started clapping for me, and I was like, oh man, these are my friends. And I was like, they want to hear what I gotta say. And the clap, just gave me that feeling like, okay, like, they want to hear this stuff. They can relate to these stories, and they want the information. So I was able to get through the presentation, and I did okay. And I even got another clap at the end. I was memorable because I brought up the fact that I was nervous, and I apologized to the person I had the laser pointed in their face in the end, because it was funny, and people laughed, and everything was well received. So showing up as your authentic self really does help with connection, and especially if you're good with storytelling, if you could really share your stories and what you have seen with your audience, you will do fine. When you show up as your authentic self, it leads to trust, connection, and yes, you can create an impact off of that. So always be yourself. There's no one else like you. Okay, guys, so I challenge you. Your voice and your story is unique. People need to hear from you. Share your perspectives, even while afraid. I'm telling you, it is so impactful. So please practice. 2025 is your year to be heard. Your voice matters. Yes. All right, guys. So I'm telling you from someone who literally trained themselves to do public speaking while afraid. I trained myself how to be comfortable while being uncomfortable. So let me know if you have any stories to share about your fear of public speaking. Share those stories. So start, like we said, like public speaking, share your stories, and I can share them on the show, or you can share them yourself. A little public speaking. And yes, this is your year. Let me know if you are interested in any classes around public speaking. I'm thinking I might go in this direction. So let me know. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something from me here today, guys. I appreciate you guys. Know that we are here on most podcast platforms. We are now on iHeartRadio. I'm very happy about that. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. So yes, we are growing together. So we are here on most Wednesdays, except for when I'm on vacation. All right. And we are on YouTube on Thursday. So please, if you like these topics, please subscribe. And we are here to support one another. So I hope I inspired you guys to do some public speaking in 2025. All right, guys. So I'll see you next time. And remember to invest in yourself and to only compete with yesterday's version of you. See you next time. Bye.